Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. And for those of you out there in virtual land, please let me know that you can see and hear me as soon as you are able to do that. And we are going to have a fabulous day working more on the Worthy Project. Oh, chapter 3. I'm already stuttering over the information that they give, so that's very exciting. So good morning, Market, and you are the winner of special spiritual mind treatment, so let me know for what you would like me to treat and I shall do that. All right, so we're ready to go. We have a plane that just
they're buzzing us.
We're being buzzed by airplanes in the area. And good morning, David. Yes, you too get a spiritual mind treatment. So let me know for what you would like me to do that treatment, and I will do it. So, this word is being spoken for each one. And if there's anyone else you would like to have included, just think of their name now and know that this word includes them, that they're covered, or any place on the planet or situation. Just think of it, this divine Creator is everywhere, so we don't have to worry about a limited God that doesn't have enough time or energy to handle everybody's problems. No, it's everywhere. It can handle all of our issues and create a whole universe to boot. So that's the kind of God we're talking about. Got it? Got it. And good morning, Tina. All right. So this word is being spoken for each one and whatever each one is adding and including. Yes. This one life is everything that is, something creating everything, and is present right now, everywhere that anything is created. This something that is creating everything is present right where each one is. It actually is expressing itself through each one. It has created each one in order to express itself through each one. Each one is a divine creation, created for this divine creator to express itself in humanity, in the world, here on this planet. Each one is created by God so that God may use each one to bring its good into form, into the world. Each one has been created to be a vehicle for bringing the good that God wants to bring to the world. That is the divine purpose in creating each one. And so the divine's qualities are the qualities that are present. And what God is what is the rule. So that this creator is infinite, unlimited, and has an abundance of energy and vitality. It is the qualities of life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, harmony, joy. This is what the divine wants to express in creating each one. And it's got its rules of infinite good, of moving from good to greater good in ways and means of goodness and harmony. And this divine presence is all good. There is nothing in it that is in conflict with itself. This good is all good, not mixed with evil of any kind. It is this that is creating each one, and this is what it wants to express through each one. So all of the beliefs of limitation that anyone may have are not from God in what God is creating each one to be. So all beliefs in limitation are by this omnipotent word of God erased, evaporated, vanished. They don't belong. They don't need to be added. It serves no divine purpose. And so all the human beliefs that somehow twist that which is the divine nature into human limitations and troubles, all of the beliefs that someone has concocted in order to explain trouble in the world, all these beliefs that are not of God, not the truth, not of the divine qualities, is all by this word erased, evaporated, vanished. And in particular, any and all belief that there is something bad or not good about oneself or as a part of oneself, or any belief that one is capable of being bad, of doing bad, all belief in hurt and being hurt, of hurting someone else, none of that is from God. And there is no God that punishes that belief. The belief itself is what hurts. And so by this word, that belief and all of that pain that belief causes each one to be experiencing is all by this word erased, evaporated, and vanished. Each one has been created to be the vehicle of the divine living spirit to express itself. So each one has got to be fully supported in that expression. Each one has got to be completely healthy and filled with vim and vigor and energy. Each one has got to be using the clarity of the infinite mind to know what is his or hers to do, and all of the resources in order to do that which is his or hers to do. The full backing and support of the universe is behind each one doing that which is his or hers to do. And the infinite mind's wisdom of knowing what is his or hers to do. And all these qualities of God itself, life, love, beauty, joy, harmony, peace, power. This is the stuff that life is giving to each one. This is the stuff that each one is using. These are the resources that each one has to express, to use, to take and make form in this human realm, in this relative world. And so nothing is missing. Each one has the hands of a creator and all the substance needed to mold it into any form whatsoever. There is no piece missing. There is nothing lacking, no nutrient, no chemical, no mineral, and there is nothing outside of oneself that can take away what has been given. And so each one this day is more aware of the gifts, the resources that have been given, and any unconscious or conscious or well-reasoned out excuse for giving away the good that one has given in a way that is unhealthy, that is demoralizing, that is diminishing, is all by this word, erased, evaporated, and vanished. Each one is the consciousness of being a caretaker of the divine gifts, and as such uses these gifts wisely, happily, peacefully, harmoniously, distributing the gifts that have been given as guided from within. So all consciousness or belief in squandering the good, waste, all belief that one lacks, all belief, as well as the human pattern syndrome of trying to make oneself worthy of all these gifts, and that belief that one is not worthy, that one is bad. It's all by this word, erased, evaporated, and vanished. Each one is created by God in the image and likeness of God, out of the substance of God, worthy, case closed, over. And so each one is now accepting all these bounteous gifts with the wisdom that goes with their effective and wonderful use, and taking that inner guidance from that divine self, that true self within, making an expression of life that is healthy, happy, harmonious, joyous, where each one is enjoying this gift of life, loving the life that he or she is expressing, and is proud and humble in wisely using these gifts, knowing that yes, it's that Father, Mother, God within that doeth the work, but he or she is the chooser and what he or she is choosing and how these gifts get distributed and expressed and molded into form. Each one is proud of that activity, and each one is looking upon all that is formed as a result of their choices and declaring, it is good. Good at the beginning, at the source, it's all good, all God, and beginning and end is equal. The results are good, and each one knows that he or she is responsible for contributing to the good that of God that moves through them and takes form in a beautiful way in the world. This is natural. This is normal. This is what each one now expects, and all those other stupid human beliefs of guilt and shame and who do you think you are and all that unconscious and conscious negative diminishing labeling erased, gone, evaporated. Each one is free to be as God made them and use the gifts that God is giving them. And so each one is having a happy, healthy, joyous, rich, delightful life filled with wonderful new opportunities designed just to please each one. I am grateful that this is the truth. I release this word to the law. It is done, and so it is. All right. So give me a weekend off, and whoop, here we go. All right, Reverend Rich, take us away.
That doesn't want to play today?
Yes.
Come on, let's go. Let's get with the business. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. And so we take a moment right now and check in with our true self, our heart. What is the desire there? What do we really, really, really want? Not what we think we should want, and not a fantasy, but what do we really want? And open to receiving that this day, along with a great big dose of worthiness. So let's claim that for this day. It's done, and so it is. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. We are a welcoming, healing, inclusive community that teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the well-being and spiritual growth of ourselves and the world. My name is Mary VerCande. I am a practitioner here at the center. And this morning we have Dr. Karen, who will be speaking again on the Worthy Project. We'll be working on that some more. We have Reverend Rich doing music for us. Gary Torres is our practitioner of the day. And I welcome you all to open yourselves to new ideas today. So I hope you're not like my dog. Last week, my dog, when the paper carrier came on the porch, the dog growled at him the whole time. Now, she doesn't growl at the mail carrier because she knows he's leaving packages, and if it's her friend Rich, she gets a milk bone. She doesn't growl at the UPS drivers because they're leaving packages. In fact, she sits and barks at us until we get the package off the porch. She's so excited. But the paper carrier she's never met before. And so she growls at him. So when you hear new ideas, do you growl at them until they go away? Or do you open the door and get to know them a little bit and decide if you want to welcome them in? So I invite you today to open the door to your mind, explore the ideas, and then decide if it's something you want to let in. So welcome. I hope you enjoy your day today. And Reverend Rich, take us away.
Get the job done. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there is release. From a world that's full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment when I hear all that never has been said. And right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there is release. From a world that's full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment when I hear all that never has been said. And right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. I find God, I find myself.
Good morning. My name is Gary Torres, and I'm a licensed practitioner here at the Centers for Spiritual Living, Princeton. I'd like to open with a little bit of a shocker this morning. There's a saying that people wonder about sometimes that says, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill the Buddha. Now, this doesn't mean that you're supposed to, beat up on something that's good and wholesome and whatever. It does mean that if you're looking for something outside of yourself as the source of your ideas, the source of what it is that you think is good, what works for you, there's a problem. We get very much distracted, even with the good things that originate with somebody else that tries to impose these ideas or these actions upon us. So part of what we're talking about here today is self-respect, self-confidence, understanding that what you have is God-given and is your talent, your ability, and you need to be working out of that. I'm also reminded of an essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson, Self-Reliance, one of our favorites here, that essentially says, even if something is a good idea on the face of it, if it's coming from something outside of you, you need to think about it for a second before you say, oh yeah, this is a great idea. Oh, this sounds so wonderful. So, today I think we need to be looking inward and saying, this is what is right for me. I've considered these things. I am in touch with the Spirit. I am in touch with God. And I know what is mine to do. And it's only this that is really going to further my happiness, my life. In this context, I want to lead a brief spiritual mind treatment. There is only one. There is one mind, one spirit, one life. And this life is called God, Allah, Brahman. It's called light, beauty, truth. There are 1,000 names for it, but by whatever name it's called, this is how it appears to the individual that's calling upon that. The thing that is, the thing itself, as Dr. Holmes would say. I mean, this thing itself abides within us, and we reflect its characteristics. As Karen said, we embody this. We are created in the image and likeness of this God. As such, we have nothing to concern ourselves about. Whatever appears as contrary to the characteristics of God is just an appearance, and we know that it's false, and we declare for ourselves the truth of everything that is within us and within spirit. Therefore, we know that any appearance of separation, any appearance of evil in the world, any appearance of conflict, these things are false, and they have no substance whatsoever. We affirm that beauty, truth, love, joy, peace, harmony, and all the characteristics of spirit exist forever on this, even on this planet, even in the manifestation, and that it is a matter of how we see things and how we create our own lives in the pattern that God created us, for He has delegated to us creative power and ability. This is part of creation in His image and likeness. So we know that anything that brings conflict, anything that creates what we call problems, to the extent that it exists at all, exists in order to instruct us, but for the most part it's a false belief and imagination. I let this word go to the law with gratitude, knowing it is true, knowing that it's already done, always already done, and so it is.
So it is.
I listen to the music of the Holy Spirit. Oh, what a song God is saying. I will listen all day long. I will listen all day long. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, hallelujah. Holy Spirit, this sense of life, God inspires, keeps me dancing, my faith is strong, keeps me dancing, my faith is strong. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, hallelujah. There's a silence in the stillness of the Holy Spirit. While we're journey, God is saying, let us see it everywhere. Yeah, let us see it everywhere. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, hallelujah. Praise the Spirit. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Oh, you think it needs praise the Spirit.
Huzzah!
Huzzah.
All right. My favorite word. Okay, so hello, everybody out there. Hello, Angel and Robert, Debbie Joy, and Debbie Roy. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So this is part 3 of the Worthy Project. Learn your value, own it, celebrate it. So how you doing with it? How many of you have conveniently forgot all about it? That's a clue. That's okay. That's okay. All right. So according to Meadow DeVor's definition of worthiness and worthlessness, or her analysis of it, which rings true to me, see if it rings true to you. She says that whenever we compare ourselves to an idealized version of ourselves, we will feel worthless. Because we can never, ever meet our idealized version of ourselves. If you notice that idealized version of yourself keeps moving. You know, as you get closer to it, you start saying, well, but then I could that, and then I could that. We never reach the idealized version of ourselves. So we'll always fall short. We're aware of that. And we are so designed that we will feel worthless. Or it will be, we'll leave our situation feeling less or diminished in some way. And then worthiness is built when we recognize our real selves, our true self, our divine self, our unique self. Now, what we want to realize is, in this world, as far as I have lived it so far, the world really believes in these idealized selves. If you just think back to school, getting good grades is an idealized idea. Why? Why do you have to get good grades? Why do you have to get good grades? Well, because blah, blah, blah. But, right, you'll get a job, you'll be a success. But does any of that have to do with your true self? Can your true self be measured? So what if you fail? So what if you just don't get a particular subject? Why is that a bad thing? But we're raised that way. You know, we want to pass, and we feel worthless if we fail, or we feel worthless. I actually know of a young woman in college. She believed she needed to get straight A's, and if she didn't, she believed she was worthless, and she killed herself. Yeah. So the thing is that experience of worthlessness is an experience of self-destruction. We're saying, I'm not worthy. Saying I am not worthy means I'm not valuable. I am not enough. I'm not even worth living. And that's obviously not the truth. We all can get that, but we're not living it, because this idealized version of ourselves is everywhere. We cannot escape it. We compare ourselves to other people. We compare ourselves to the commercial. I mean, we've got a huge industry, advertising and marketing, that knows how to work on those other parts of our little brain that aren't conscious, and they're always seeking to activate it. Why? So we buy their product. And somehow they've linked their product with being this idealized version of yourself. And they actually make up the ideal fantasy that you see, and you say, oh yeah, I want to be that woman in that beautiful ball gown walking down those stairs. Let me get that perfume. That'll be a part of it. So we need to be very, very aware of this, because what Meadow points out is when we feel bad about ourselves, it's because we've been trying to live up to some idealized version of ourselves. It will always make us feel bad. And we always feel better when we honor our true self. However, if you're like me, raised the way I was, you might not even have a clue who your true self is. You're so filled with this idealized version of yourself. I should do this. I should be like that. I mean, how many of you weigh yourself on the scale or take your measurements? Why? Why? To fit into my clothes. Why? Buy bigger clothes, honey. Well, why not? Well, because then, I won't be meeting the ideal, right? And the human race right now, at least on the Western civilization, likes you, well, approves of you, won't criticize you if you look like your ideal self. But they'll get you if you look like your true self. And that's the problem of the human race. But it doesn't have to be your problem. And because living in order to get everyone's approval, or to create for yourself a fantasy of protection, like they won't criticize me, at least, I was raised to don't let the neighbors know. It's okay what goes on inside of the house, but just don't let the neighbors know what's going on in here. That's how I was raised. Okay, that's fine. But where is what do you think inside this house kind of thinking? Don't let the neighbors see what you're really like, but what am I really like? So that's our question. What am I really like? And it does require us to pay attention to our true self when we've got the whole human race clamoring to make us distracted so that we don't think about our true self. And we've got all sorts of reasons, all sorts of excuses. Years ago, I did a little workshop based on a book called Eating Awareness, EAT. And she called EAT Eating Awareness Technique. And her technique was very, very simple. You started out with figuring out what your stomach is feeling. Not an easy thing. What's the stomach want? It took a lot of work for me to finally locate my stomach because every other part of me had a say about what I wanted to eat. But when I finally got in touch with my stomach, she said to measure, to give it a number on how full it is. 10 is after the Thanksgiving dinner and the 3 extra sandwiches and desserts afterwards, so really stuffed. And 0 is you're next to dead in starvation. And then what she said, this is horrible, you wanted to shoot for a 5. I'm like, 5? What the heck, 7 and 8, 9 is, I want to be there. 5? And she said 5 is satisfied. It stops the hunger. But anything more than that, you're over full. Your stomach will tell you. Your stomach will tell you when you're at a 5. You got to give it some time, right? Because, the time takes blah, 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 blah. But if you're 7, 8, your stomach is telling you and it's uncomfortable. Well, that made me crazy. However, that's who you really are. So it's not, the dessert's being served. It's, what does my stomach want? And then after you get that, you then ask your stomach, what do you want to eat? When I finally really got in touch with my stomach one morning for breakfast, I said, okay, what do you really want to eat? It said, shredded lettuce. Shredded lettuce? Well, I'm going to go into the little deli. Could you give me a little bowl of shredded lettuce, please? So I bought a Blimpie. That's got lots of shredded lettuce on, along with other things. Anyway, so I have issues. That's okay. So the thing is, right? Get to know your true self. So this week, her chapter is called Giving and Spending. Yeah, And she says this little thing. By spending or giving away something you cannot afford, whether it's money, time, energy, or self, you reinforce worthlessness. So she had an issue of buying a Gucci dress when she was near bankruptcy. So she talks a lot about spending money. But for me, I think in terms of time and energy. How do I give it away from what my true self needs? And I'll admit, as I think about it, I get all confused because other people are suggesting things and they sound wonderful, and sometimes it's really hard for me to just pay attention to myself. What do I want? What is best for me? And so, but what we want to realize is when we give something away that we do not have, energy, time, money, or yourself, we're going to feel worthless. So there's the clue. If you're not sure whether something is your true self or not, you may do it, and if you feel worthless afterwards, then you know, okay, I was not honoring my true self. So it's a trial and error kind of thing in some aspects of ourselves. But what she wants us to think, as she thought about her Gucci dress, she said, if I had thought about instead of thinking I'm going to buy this Gucci dress, if she thought away, I'm going to give away my valuable money to Gucci for this dress, she says she might have made a different decision. Because when she bought the Gucci dress, not only could she not afford it, but for months afterwards, she was paying the debt. And as a result, she didn't have enough money for food and for her rent. Yeah, she was in a desperate state. Well, obviously, that's what woke her up to this, I think. So we're grateful that she went through it. And so we don't have to, right? But the thing is that we all want to pay attention to these gifts we've been given. And if we don't have the energy, and she says, where does she say it? Well, you can't give something away unless you have an oversupply of it. In other words, you have to keep enough energy for yourself, the way I tend to think is, oh, I've got some energy, let me give it all away to somebody else, right? I've got enough energy to give to you, but then I'm, wiped out afterwards. So that means I didn't have enough energy to give away. I gave away what was rightfully mine and what I needed to fuel myself and to be me. I need to have some energy. I need to have some time. I'm saying this I, meaning each of you saying that too, right? We need to give ourselves, invest in ourselves, have some money for our future, having some time so we can, and energy so we can enjoy ourselves and really express who we are. And personally, I give it away as soon as it's like eating. I may be at a 10, but as soon as I get down to 8, hey, it's time to eat again. And so in a reverse way, I'm kind of like doing that with my energy. Okay, I need to rest, and I fuel up with just enough energy, and then let me start giving it away again. And then I'm there on the couch again. I gotta, whatever. And so we need to pay attention to, do I have more than enough? First of all, do I have enough? And do I have more than enough so that I can give? And generosity is a very, very important concept. And she wants us to think about that. But generosity comes from giving from your overflow, not from not enoughness. I don't have enough, you don't have enough, so let me give what I have. And those of us who've been on airplanes, we all know the score, right? You get the oxygen mask on you first. Not, you put the oxygen mask on you, take a good gulp of air, and then put your oxygen mask on someone else. And it's not, hold your breath and give them theirs first. No, you put it on yourself first. And so we need to realize that whenever you give your oxygen mask away, you're going to feel more worthless. So the real measurement is how you feel afterward. There's no overall arching rule about always put on your oxygen mask, always do this, always do that. No. What does your true self say? Do I have enough? Do I have some overflow? And she's got 2 rules here. Let me see. Do I have enough? And the next question she tells us is to give to what we really want. In other words, she's talking about worthless spending and worthy spending. But it doesn't matter whether it's money, time, attention, self. Let me do this. Worthless spending is the behavior of giving your money, time, attention, and energy to anything that prioritizes your ideal image over your true self. Worthless spending is giving away anything that you cannot afford to give. And worthy spending is the behavior of giving your time, money, attention, energy to anything that prioritizes your true self over your ideal image. So I have an example. When I married, one of the wedding gifts was a fondue set. And we might have used it once or twice. I don't know, whatever. I loved that fondue thing. We rarely used it, but I loved it. So at some point in my decades after this, I looked at it, I said, Karen, you don't use it, let it go. I let it go. Immediately regretted it. And so another decade after that, my brother and sister-in-law were asking me, what would you like for Christmas as a gift? And I'm like, a fondue set. They gave me an even better fondue set. It's beautiful. It's like new because I've never used it. And I want it. I want it. I have never used it. Will I ever use it? Well, the fantasy So we know now I'm talking about my idealized self. The fantasy is having some friends over, maybe some of you, and we're having a great time chit-chatting. And I have fondue made, right? Maybe 2 fondue sets. One is filled with this most delicious cheese you can imagine, with the beautiful little crusty bread with a little bit of garlic all around, and people are dipping it in. And then there's a second fondue kit, maybe with the oil, and you're cooking your little pieces of meat, and there's all kinds of different things you can dip it into afterwards, right? And then there's a third fondue kit filled with chocolate, melted chocolate, and just like nice little fruits all around. And everyone is really happy. There might be candlelight. And, you know, we're just such a compatible group of people, and we're just feeling the oneness. And these fondue kit sets are just a part of the whole thing. Right? Now, here is the rotten question. You need to know what you really want, and you also need to be willing to spend and give what it takes to create it. Well, I don't want to clean my house, so I can't have you over, because it's not going to look worthy, fondue set worthy. You know, the whole, you know, I don't even have the right furniture for fondue set worthy. You know, I don't have, I mean, it needs to be a bigger table so more chairs can be there, and I just don't have it. And am I willing to spend the time and the energy and the money to get there? Well, I would have to get rid of my beloved table that I inherited from my grandmother, and I love this. It's one of those round wooded tables with the claw leaves, big old heavy thing. I love it. I loved it when she had it, and I have it. It's my true self. But I'm not willing to give it away so we could have a fondue party. It's not going to happen. So I'm not willing to do what it takes to fulfill what I'm saying I want. I want the fondue sets. But I'm not willing to do what is needed to do to use these fondue sets. Well, you know, maybe I want it as a decoration. Okay, let's pull it out of the box and set it up as a decoration. You're never going to use it. There it is. Maybe I'll enjoy it like I enjoy the table. But, you know, I have to admit, I'm not going to use it because my true self, does not want to do what it takes to create what this idealized version, fantasy that I have in me. I don't want to do it. And so my true self, I have to honor my true self. So on your list of goals years ago, I would have, I want to own a house on the shore, a beach house. And then Sandy happened. And I'm like, not so much. Right? Because I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to do all that is required to take care of it. And so I came up with my new desire, and this involves all of you. I want one of you to own a beach house and invite me as a guest.
And you can bring the fondue set.
And I'll bring the fondue set, and we will use it. See, I have something to offer. So think about that. But I don't want to take care. I can barely take care of the house I own and that I'm living in. I don't want to take care of another one. I actually had another vacation home for a while. We sold it because I didn't want to take care of the upkeep. It was a lot of extra thinking and time, energy. I'm using this word, my mental bandwidth. I only have so much clear space in my mind. How do I want to spend that? What do I want to occupy this amount of bandwidth, my attention? How much of that do I want to spend on this particular project, on that particular good? And that's something that we want to ask ourselves, because we may have very good reasons. I mean, my idealized version of me is We've got good old Edwin Gaines, right? If those of you who were around when she came, she told us all to get a notebook, and in the notebook, you put down every desire you have, every goal, every whim, every fantasy. You just fill it up and fill it up and fill it up. Pages and pages and pages of, oh, I'd like to learn another language, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, da, 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 da. But then, out of all that, you select what your goal is. And whatever it is that you select, you have to be sure that you're willing to do all that it takes to achieve that goal. All that it takes. I was watching rowing races over the weekend, and my rowing coach, was in the Olympics twice. And she was rowing in a couple of different races with her former Olympian partners, whatever. And I was just watching them and thinking, wow, I'd like to be in that race. That would be just awesome. And maybe someday I could be in the boat with her. And can you imagine? And what I have to give is my age. Apparently it raises you up, so you're not 40 and over, you're like something else and over. So there's what I have to give. Apparently not a lot of strength or, rowing ability, but am I willing to do all that goes with it? And that includes waking up at 4:45 every morning and getting to the docks to row every morning at 5:30. And in order to do that, I have to get enough sleep, which means I have to give up all my evening dance classes. Am I willing to do it? No. It's in my Edwin Gaines wish book, but I'm not taking it out as a goal. So we want to ask our true selves all the time, what do you really want? And our homework, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. First time in 3 years. And I'm filled with anxiety because I forgot how to go on vacation. Not that I was ever all that good at it, but we have homework. And our homework is this. Get a piece of paper or a journal or something, and at the top of it say, I want to spend and give my time, attention, and energy to, and then list 20 things. 20. So it's going to require a lot of self-reflection. And before you put something down on that list, you want to imagine, what are you going to have to give in order to experience this thing? What is all that you're going to have to give? And are you really willing to give it? And so it doesn't matter what you really write, but the thing is the awareness of yourself. Maybe you cannot even answer the question. That's important information to know. You need to realize, okay, I don't have a clue. My true self is silent. But then you'll get more and more aware. You set the intention. Let me get aware of what I desire and what I don't desire. And it'll start coming to you, that information. And we've got these after effect clues. If I feel worthless, that wasn't my true self talking. And if I feel more worthy, more worthyful, then it was my true self. Easy. You know how you feel. I feel lousy. I feel pretty good. That's our measurement. And so we want to get better and better at it, because this is the thing. It's your life. Not to live someone else's life. They're living their life. I mean, my rowing coach, that was her life. She's an Olympic athlete. I know when I was younger, and even now, I mean, look at me. There's no way I'm going to spend that kind of time and energy on one thing. No, it's like, whoa, let's do this. Whoa, let's do this. Whoa, let's do that. Whoa, let's do this. Da, 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 da. I want to do it all, but only a little bit of it all. But that's who I am. And so why would I regret or wish I could have been an Olympian when I know I wouldn't want to do all that goes with it? I'd be miserable. Why would I be miserable? Because it's not me. And so the thing is that each one of us was uniquely created by the divine. That's the gift, who you really are. You can't be all these other great things. When I was with one spiritual group, I really learned one thing. Everybody would tell their stories of their lives. And you'd go, wow, wow, wow. And I still love this activity. I love hearing about other people's lives. And a part of me says, thank you so much for living that life so I don't have to. I get to live my life. And you get to live your life. And we share our exploits and everything, but we don't have to be jealous of someone else's thing. One of our New Thought musicians, I think it was Jana, whatever her name is, I think she wrote a song where she was like, crazy over one of those great singers, male guitarist, folk.
Bob Dylan.
Paul Simon.
James Taylor.
Very good.
So she finally met James Taylor and said something like, wow, I wish I could be you. And he said, you be you, and I'll be me. And so her song was, you be you, and I'll be me. And so self-acceptance is the only way we feel good about ourselves. We feel self-worthy when we accept the way we are, that God made us. That's our only way to being happy. Believe me, I would still be that perfect person with the perfect door and the perfect picture, and her homework for this week is to take a picture of your next meal. Well, I'm going on a cruise, so that's not working. But the thing is that, and again, is it who you are? Or is your front door, is even your body, is your meal, your idealized version of yourself? It's all healthy food. Is it healthy food? Is it what your stomach wants? And that's not an easy thing to know, right? But so it's just questions, and then to live in the mystery, and then out of all the information that you get, and if you're like me, you get a whole lot of questions, more questions than guidance or answer, but I might get one little bit of guidance. That's what you do. That's what you follow, that little bit of guidance. It's hard when our fearful self talks, right? For me, this cruise is quite a challenge. But, because if you ask me, I don't want to go.
Where you going?
I'm going on a cruise.
Where?
Who cares? I don't want to go. Why don't I want to go? Because I'm uncomfortable and because I'm afraid. But I do happen to remember that I wrote down on one of my letters to my future self that I really wanted a wonderful cruise, a luxury cruise, which this is. I wanted a cabin all by myself with a balcony, and I really wanted to be on a really high-class ship, which I didn't even know that it existed, where the entertainment was more who I am and what I really enjoy. And I wanted a vacation where all expenses were paid. That's what this is. I wrote it down on I want. And I don't feel worthy of it. How dare I? And so it's coming out as I'm afraid something awful is going to happen. Because I can't fully accept the good that this is because I'm not worthy. And so unconsciously, I'm ruining it for myself by worrying about this and worrying about that and delaying packing so that it's the last minute. Throw everything in the suitcase. Because, so it's like just ruining the trip for me in little ways so I can't fully accept this good that I created for myself, right? Remember Barker? Yeah, you created it. No, but I don't feel equal to it. And so I know I have to go on it because that I will be proud of myself for facing my fear and going on this cruise and accepting all this good and to claim that my good is my God and not mixed with evil of any kind. It's actually, can you believe this? Taking this wonderful cruise, accepting all this good is actually, for me to enjoy it on any level, it requires a step forward in faith. I have to believe in God and its goodness more than I believe in whatever's coming out because I'm not enough and I don't believe I'm worth it. It's a rough life going on vacation. I'm exhausted. And yet, we grow, right? We grow. So our homework, my homework while I'm on the cruise, and you all while you're here, next week we have Reverend Janice and Reverend Rich presenting a wonderful service for all of you. And but whatever you're doing, start your list and see if you can even put one thing down, one thing that your heart wants and that you're willing to do what it takes to experience it for yourself. That's our homework. And if you can't come up with anything, it's good to know that. Accept yourself where you're at. It's okay, because she says, in all of her assignments, right? Remember that? Very important. Under no circumstances are you allowed to do this exercise with the intention of self-shaming, adding to your to-do list, or causing yourself overwhelming shame spirals or anxiety. So maybe you can't do it at all. Maybe you forgot all about this worthy project. Honor it. It's okay. You be you. You be you. And if you're saying, this is not for me, oh my God, stand on it. Not for me. Right? Have you ever been at a wonderful meal and people are all insisting that you try something and you're like, no. Oh no, come on. No. You're like, what the heck? It's my mouth. What do you care what goes in it, right? But they all go around you, whatever. Oh, especially family, right? Good old family. So, but you be you. Stand firm. They cannot hold you down anymore and shove the food in your mouth. As a child, I think that my mother tried. But now you can eat what you, feel what you, be what you, devote your time, your money, your attention, and yourself, your heart, your soul, to anything that serves you, that becomes a vehicle for you being more of you. That's what it's about. That's our homework. And not what it looks like to other people. The one thing about all of this that I've learned is not one of us can judge whether someone else has high self-worth or not. Right? Because you would think, oh, they've got the perfect house, and they've got the perfect door, and they've got the perfect clothes, and they've got the perfect meal, picture, whatever. But it might all be coming from a belief in self-worthlessness. And maybe self-worth is, I don't care what the front door looks like, because I'm busy going for an Olympic gold in whatever version that is. So know yourself, own it. Okay, so that's our lesson for this morning. Whew, rough homework. Let's see how we can do. And again, always listen to your inner self. And if it says don't do it, don't do it. In the meantime, Reverend Rich,
In the meantime.
what he does, doing what he does so well.
So what's been puzzling me for your whole talk is how do you clean that congealed cheese out of that fondue roll?
See, I'm not willing to do it.
I can't
I'm not
imagine.
willing
How would
to.
you clean that?
I don't know. You give it to your dog.
The dog would. No. Here you go, Lookie. There's some congealed cheese for you now.
Pretty horse.
You're perfect. You're golden. You're light. You're love. You're perfect. You're golden. You're light. You're love. Light, 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 light. You're perfect. You're perfect. You're golden. You're light. You're love. You're perfect. You're golden. You're light. You're love.
Perfect. Golden. All right, so this word is being spoken for each one. The truth is, there is a divine creator, and that divine creator, with great intention and thoughtfulness, has fashioned each one in a unique way. And that is the true self of each one. That true self has all the wisdom to guide each one into expressing this true self here in humanity, even now, even the way the world is. Nothing needs to be changed. Not even one's own self, because each one is the true self, already made, already perfect, already ready to express itself in a greater way. And everyone is built in to enjoy expressing themselves as they connect and know and express. And so each one is clearer about that true self that he or she is than ever before, and more aware of what they do that creates him or herself to feel more worthy or less. And with this awareness, each one is expressing more wisdom and self-love than ever before. This word is the truth. I'm glad it is. So I let the word go to the law. It's done. And so it is.
So it is.
That's the way it is. Final song.
Sit down. Amen. 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 Amen.
Huzzah! Hallelujah! All right. So, thank you, Robert. Hello, Stephanie and Tina, Reverend Damaris. Good to see you all, and have a wonderful week. And as I said, Reverend Janice will be here next week. Halloween talk. So enjoy that too. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.